Joe Vazquez is from our CBS station in San Francisco. And Joe, you're in Redding, California, where the Carr Fire is quickly closing in. This fire, I mean, all the fires sound really bad, but this fire tripled in size overnight and jumped over a river. It's almost like it has sort of a mind of its own. Give us a sense of what things are like where you are right now.
Well, and the significance of it jumping over the river is that it came into subdivisions within the city limits. You know, a lot of these fires here in California, they're in rural areas or semi-rural areas. This is a subdivision, and as you can see, we're watching this home burn to the ground. Right next door, there is another house also burned to the ground, and we've seen about a dozen of them in the dark. Now, as officials are able to drive around as we are, we're seeing more and more homes that have just been wiped out here. So yeah, the significance here is this is a town with a population of 92,000. When it gets inside the city limits in a more densely populated area, that has officials worried, and that's why we're seeing thousands of people being evacuated.
Yeah, and there are reports that residents had very little time to flee the fire, which sadly killed one person. The chief of the fire department there said that they're in life-saving mode. And so I wonder, can you give us a timeline of actually when people realize that this is a critical time for them and that they need to get out?
Right, so it was last evening, and what happened is it's out in the hinterlands, right? It's outside the city limits. It doesn't look like it's growing that dramatically, and then it triples, quadruples in size in the late evening hours, and it, like I said, it intrudes into the city limits. At that point, wow, we weren't expecting that, and it was because of heavy winds and strange sort of weather conditions created by the fire. They said they had what they call a fire-nado, which is when the fire creates its own weather and it actually whips around like a tornado. And so you had these fierce winds coming through. It pushed into these more populated areas, and then they're not taking any chances. They start evacuating people, and thousands of people, and even people who may not have been in the direct, immediate path of the fire. They're not taking the chances. We're getting them out because we don't know what that wind is going to do, is essentially what they've told us. Now, in terms of life-saving mode, what they mean by that is we've seen firefighters, we've seen fire trucks. They're not pouring water on these homes. They're not in defensive mode. They're over there knocking on doors. They're over and checking homes and making sure nobody is stuck inside, because they want to make sure people are safe before they spend all that effort on these homes. But no doubt about it, we will see a major firefighting effort at the point at which they believe they've gotten everyone safe, and they will be coming out here and pouring water from above, from below. It's going to be huge.
And I was going to ask you what the main challenges are for firefighters in this area. Clearly, the initial challenge is just to get people out before they can even tackle the blaze. But, what about the weather conditions, the forecast? How's it looking?
Not good, and that is the major concern. The wind especially, it's just so unpredictable. And when it creates its own weather, there's no predicting that, right? The other thing is the heat and almost no humidity. The fire chief, who is the acting PIO out here, told us that they expect it to get to up to 110 degrees today, and they've had triple digits for like more than 1 week. I believe he said 2 weeks now. So that doesn't help either, because those are prime fire conditions already, and you've already got a fire in progress. It's very little containment.
All right, Joe Vazquez, thanks a lot for your reporting. Stay safe.